It's an honor to do this video in the memory of Carmon. I'm going to say a part of what his life meant. It's not all what his life meant, but we can definitely use this to definitely do some things better. But let's look at it. Mental illness is also known as a mental disorder. But first, let me thank God. I saw his video. And then I ended up making a video for him. And I thank God that I did that, because had I not would have been obedient to the Lord, I would have felt like, the words that I could have given him could have changed the thing. I don't know if he got it or not. I know when I tried to go back to his page, I couldn't get back to it. And so it wouldn't let me. And normally that's when somebody deactivates their profile, they turn it off or whatever. But I did tag his name, and I thank God for being obedient and listening, being able to speak into his life, and hopefully that'll change some others. We have to respond to people and pray for those individuals. But these are the most types of mental illnesses. Clinical depression, a mental health disorder characterized by a persistently depressed mood or loss of interest in activities. Anxiety disorder, a mental health disorder characterized by feelings of worry, anxiety, or fear that are strong enough to interfere with one's daily activities. Bipolar disorder, a disorder associated with episodes of mood swings ranging from depressive lows and to manic highs. So if you see any of that, make sure we pray for others. It says when one can send 1,000, two can put 10,000 to flight. Praying for other individuals. Psalms 55:22. It says, give your burdens or cares to the Lord, and he will sustain you. He will never let the righteous be shaken or moved. 1 Peter 5:7, casting all your care or anxiety upon him, for he cares for you. Be sober minded. This is verse 8. Be sober minded and alert. Your adversary, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion, seeking someone to devour. What we have to understand is that, people are dealing with a lot of demons and stuff like that. We have to pray for these individuals. When, one of the tricks of the enemy is to isolate us against to think that we can handle it by ourselves. Romans 12:2. Do not copy the behavior or customs of this world, but let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. Then you will learn to know God's will for you, which is good, pleasing, and perfect. See, sometimes we use unhealthy coping mechanisms. Again, it's not a sin to drink. It's a sin to get drunk. That's why it says wine of the spirit when we talked about that. But that's one thing that, Carmon mentioned. He mentioned about the alcohol and everything like that. So that's why I'm talking on that. Cause sometimes, in life, we just try to drink our problems away. I saw a relationship was on Facebook. It was a couple, and the guy was struggling so bad. He said that when he was dealing with everything else he was dealing with when they were apart and stuff, he said that he used to just drink so he can go to sleep. It was the only coping mechanism that he used. We just have some unhealthy ones. But verse 3, Romans 12:3, for by the grace given me, I say to every one of you, do not think of yourself more highly than you ought, but think of yourself with sober judgment according to the measure of faith God has given you. See, a lot of times we want to tackle things by ourselves. Everybody talked about how, Carmon smile and everything. And, I remember, playing football and, growing up and stuff like that. And the sister made a video, and it was just like, it's powerful, saying that, that I implore you to pray, for people. And also, saying like this affected the Shenango Valley. It wasn't just Sharon. It was the Shenango Valley, because, he touched a lot of people, and I'm pretty sure that, this, his funeral is like, it's going to be packed, because I saw the outpour of people saying, of his players, people he played with, his teammates, people that he went to school with. Matthew 27:3. This is talking about Judas. Judas, which had betrayed when he saw that he was condemned, repented himself and brought again the 30 pieces of silver to the chief priest and the elder. So we got to understand, when Judas betrayed Jesus, he did repent. Verse 4, saying, I have sinned in that I have betrayed the innocent blood. And they said, what is this to us? I see. It says, I have betrayed innocent blood. And they said, so they said, what is this to us? See thou to it that. So meaning saying, they were saying like, verse 4, that is your responsibility. It was not Judas' responsibility. It was Jesus' responsibility. So what happened is verse 5, he threw the money down and he hanged himself, went to go hang himself. So what we understood is that Judas never, forgave himself. And that's why I told Carmona to forgive himself, because sometimes when we go to people and we apologize, they're not ready for an apology, or they're just still upset or anything like that. And it takes time. And I had to understand that, cause I had to apologize to somebody before, and I asked God about it. And they were just like, God told me, said they just weren't ready. It takes time for people to accept an apology. But it's good to get that off your chest. And I've known some people that try to hold that against your head for years. Because of unforgiveness, people that I've dealt with. But that's the thing. And, that's what happens with suicide. Sometimes, people, they don't forgive themselves, cause it's like, what drives somebody to a point where all that happens, and people say, oh, we can't question God. In verse 36, chapter 36, verse 15, Job, it says, by the means of their suffering, he gets our attention. And it's okay for us to ask God, what do you want me to learn from this? And you can ask God, what do you want God to learn from this situation, or what with Carmona, and God will respond in due time. But we have to forgive others, and we have to pray for others when we see those signs or whatever, or even if we see people and we just say, you know what, they seem like they okay, but it may be something we need to go pray for them. We don't need to judge them, but I'll get back to that. Colossians 3:10, it says, and have put on the new man, which is renewed in the knowledge after the image of him that created him. See, once he confessed everything, that's when he became a new man. Like, you know what? He can forgive himself. And just know that, that's why God told him to do that. But, sometimes I'm not sure if he contacted anybody or whatever, but, people can be unqualified to give us advice, even though they may mean well. Even when he was making that video, somebody came on there and they had said something. I'm just like, dang, like this brother is trying to pour his heart out, and they saying something like this, thinking it was funny. 1 Samuel 16:7, the Lord doesn't see things the way you see them. People judge by outward appearance, but Lord looks at the heart. But see, that's what our God does. He looks at the heart. He doesn't look at the outward appearance. And that's what people do when we do things. They look at the outward appearance. And so they they understand, like, well, are we remorseful or whatever like that? But you know what? God knows the truth. John 8:7. So this is when the lady was, committing adultery. John 8:7. So when they continued asking him, he lifted up himself and said unto him, he who is without sin among you, let him first cast a stone at her. So this is the woman that was caught in adultery. And what's interesting about this story is, we'll get to verse 8. And again, he stooped down and wrote in the ground. This is Jesus writing in the ground. Verse 9. And they which heard it, being convicted by their own conscience, went out one by one, beginning at the eldest and even to the last. And Jesus was left alone, and the woman was standing there in the midst. Verse 10, then Jesus straightened up and asked her, woman, where are your accusers? Has no one condemned you? Verse 11, she said, no man, Lord. And Jesus said to her, neither do I condemn you. There thee, go and sin no more. See, we're not supposed to judge people, but watch this. We are supposed to warn people, and people are out here doing things, and people get upset. And so it looks like we're judging, but we're supposed to warn them. And this is all Jesus did. He warned her and just said, don't do it anymore. And that's what we got to do. People get so caught up sometimes. They be like, oh, you're judging me. No, if you're doing something that is a sin, we're supposed to warn you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you're supposed to do it in a loving way and things like that. And so this is what Jesus did. But what's interesting about this story with the woman is that it takes two to commit adultery. Where was the man at? I'm pretty sure he probably was in there that had a rock as well, too. And what's so funny is, look at how many people knew that she had committed that, because it takes two again. So, and I'm pretty sure it probably was some men that were in there that were probably sleeping with her. Probably was the first one to drop the rock, was probably one that slept with her, but they never brought the man there. It takes two. But this is what happens is, when people know about something, they speculate or whatever, and then they try to judge you. But that's why that's why Jesus showed her. He said, listen, nobody else condemns you. They all walked away, and that's what we got to do. We got to allow Jesus to love us and show us, and just saying we don't got to do it no more. And that's where he can help us out. So like I said, it's an honor to do this. Also click the link, because obviously there's some help and things like that for him. Pray for his family, the children, his sister, his mom, his dad, Pray for the family. This is a very difficult time. And this is what we need to do in the Shenango Valley. We need to, pray for individuals, and we need to pray for people, even when we step foot in the church and people look at the outward appearance. That's what we got to do. We got to come closer and let his life represent what needs to be done. This man walked around and smiled a lot, and he was dealing with depression inside, dealing with demons and stuff like that, and trying to be a better person. So I just pray that these words go past your mind into your soul, and it makes you want to do something positive. And, like I said, with us doing better, I just thank God for me being obedient, because you just never know that could have been this man's last words or whatever like that. And if I wouldn't have did that, I would have felt like, dang, God, like I didn't move like you told me to. That's why I don't play around when it comes to God. When God tell me to move, I move. But I do know this enemy is out here and all these demons and stuff like that, and we need to come together. So I just want to say that. Normally, I don't really say share videos. I'm blessed if you do share them. But I would say share this, because this is definitely something that I want his life to represent. The catalyst that, we as a people, we do better. It's not about black and white. It's about, it's in the truth. So just want to tell you, as always, love y'all. God bless. And if you see somebody, pray for them. And if you are dealing with this, get some help, so get the right help and things like that. If you want to reach out to me in my inbox, I'll help you as best I can and stuff like that. Cause we need to talk to people that are qualified to give us advice. Some people may, give us advice and they're unqualified, even though they may mean well. So, that's something. Reach out, get help, saying yes, continue going to church and stuff like that, and, get to know Jesus on a deeper level. So love y'all. God